Good day to all our distinguished guests and fellow legislators from across the world. It is my honor and pleasure to join this Legislators Summit convened by the Global Legislators Organization, GLOBE, hosted by the Scottish Parliament. I am pleased to share insights and experiences from the Philippines. Thank you for this opportunity. I am Loren Legarda, a legislator for over 2 decades since 1998 and previously a 3-term senator, during which time I headed the GLOBE Philippines chapter. I now serve as Deputy Speaker and District Representative of the Province of Antique in the House of Representatives. Legislating for climate and environmental action, disaster risk reduction, and sustainability in the Philippines has been my life's work. Through a journey of 24 years, equal amounts of hard work, creativity, diplomacy, passion, discipline, and always resolve were needed to challenge traditional and skewed notions of societal development. All these for a desired outcome that I can only hope to witness in my lifetime. But as legislators, we all already know this too well. We don't write laws merely for ourselves or for the next political campaign season. We do it for the sake of our children and for the future of humanity. The vulnerability of the Philippines to the worst impacts of climate change has long been cited in many studies and reports. We have consistently ranked high among countries most vulnerable, most affected by disasters and climate-influenced hazards, and we've been enduring the cycles of devastation and recovery. I believe that we've already enacted the laws in place that lay the foundation to address climate and disaster risks and hazards in our country in my 3 terms as senator. These laws, considered as model legislation by the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Office, ISDR, the laws that have been implemented in my country and breathe life into the text, hopefully to make an impact to people and local communities on the ground. In 2009, I authored the Climate Change Act, which created the Philippine Climate Change Commission. It gave birth to our national framework and action plan on climate change. It was amended in 2012 to create the People Survival Fund, our local adaptation fund. And since then, however, only a handful of our local government units, our so-called climate frontliners, have been able to secure grants from our local adaptation fund, which requires a local climate change action plan or a localized vulnerability and risk assessment for evidence-based adaptation measures. We also have the Clean Air Act for reducing black carbon, a bill enacted into law during my first term when I filed it in 1998 and enacted it in 1999. And this detects the emission standards that are now far behind the new air quality guidelines of the World Health Organization. We also enacted the Renewable Energy Act in 2008, but the installed generating capacity of RE as of year 2020 is only at 29%, or equivalent to 7,653 megawatts. The Ecological Solid Waste Management Law that I authored and passed in year 2000 in particular is gaining relevance as our country figures yet again in a ranking of top plastic polluting countries in the world. 2 decades after its passage, our country is still grappling with solid waste management issues, mainly illegal dump sites remaining despite the forced transition to engineered sanitary landfills. A related concern revolves around available investment and financial resources among local governments. What I'm saying is that our work as legislators must not stop at crafting, authoring, and writing these laws. That could be the easy part. We also need to ensure that our laws are effective, funded, responsive, and are actually being implemented as we had it intended. It is all within our mandate to do our own introspection. We have an oversight function on government projects and programs to identify gaps and challenges in the implementation of our laws. Let us not forget that in most jurisdictions, it is Congress, our parliament, that holds the power of the purse and therefore could recommend budget realignments and reallocations for priorities we deem most urgent and appropriate. Today, no one will deny that addressing the climate emergency should be our number one priority. If the world's countries were to take sufficient steps to meet the Paris climate target of 1.5 degrees Celsius, we would avoid the heavier cost of climate action compared to a continuing business as usual approach that would lead to about 3 degrees warming by the year 2100. To do this, we have to keep challenging the norm and redefining development. Earlier this year, I filed House Bill 9181, the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System, or PENCAS bill, which will give importance to the role, value, and impact of our country's natural resources on the economy. For decades, the world was fed the false dichotomy of having to choose between economy over environment or the conservation of our natural resources. And I intend to pass this bill to uphold that our economy and society are fully and entirely dependent on our natural resources, our forests, our wetlands, our biodiversity, and ecosystems. I also authored the Philippine Circular Economy, as well to design out waste in our production and to rely less on the extraction of our natural resources. These are important pieces of legislation that will help lay the foundations for a truly green pandemic recovery. To end, allow me to share a bit about my journey as a senator, as a legislator in the Philippines. I first ran for senator in 1998, a very young green one, and I was told I might lose if I espoused the environmental agenda. During my re-election in 2007, many also doubted my decision to champion the climate change agenda. But I took a leap of faith. In both elections, I was victorious and was a top-notcher, and I became the only female in the Philippines to top the Senate race twice. And I proved that a woman with a heart for the environment who cared for the climate could win the votes of the people and triumph in the politics of men and women. With the growing challenges and threats that our countries face from climate impacts and disasters, we have the moral responsibility to ensure that we leave a planet that is safer and more habitable for the generations to come. And I sincerely believe that there is no efficient pandemic recovery that is not aligned to the climate pathway. Thank you very much. Stay safe.